Well, let me find a guy. I know he's got higher standards here. Our next guest, because he is a paisan. So I know he's eating the good Italian food, and he's not putting ketchup on his pasta or anything. This man is way too smart. The great Dan Sileo joins us here on Five Reasons Sports. Dan, I love seeing you. I worked with this guy way back in the day. It's been way too long. Dan, how are you, sir?
Dude, all good, man. Way to go, man. I love the conversation. See, I'm more like I kind of like Sean's idea too, because when you hate something, you just throw whatever on it, just to go, no, here, let me throw ketchup on it. But no, I like it. I like the deal. But see, I'm more like an Italian gravy or sauce, because you could put that on a hot dog, you could put that on a hamburger. I don't know. I'm more Italian sauce, brother.
I love it. And Dan, there's so many things I wanted to talk with you about. Now, first and foremost, with everything going on with Jimmy Johnson, he's getting enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, much deserved. Should have happened a long time ago, to be honest. Even Jerry Jones came out and said he's putting his petty aside and he's finally putting Jimmy in the Ring of Honor at their stadium there, which is, again, long overdue. You played for Jimmy, and Jimmy, of course, being a Canes guy, one of my favorite freaking coaches and human beings of all time. Dan, what was a day in the life like at a Jimmy Johnson practice? What was it like playing for that man?
Man, structure. I'll tell you something, Donno. I hate my life because of him, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Okay? Because everything was about winning. Everything was about keeping your head down. Everything was about learning how to be a champion. Everything was about being in the right place at the right time. No jacking around, nothing about, I just wish one thing, and Jimmy has said this over the last couple of months, is that he wishes he could have enjoyed it more. I tell you, Donald, being in those practices, being with him for 3 years, and then a brief time in Dallas. I mean, I was around Jimmy for around 4 years. And I'll tell you something, I've never seen a more driven guy. It cost him his first marriage, his relationship with his kids. It was all about winning. Jimmy, when he was with the Dolphins, I saw that game against the Jaguars, I think it was, that was his last coach game. I think it was a playoff game or something. I remember looking over at my wife. I went, he'll never coach another down ever again. She's like, "You're kidding me?" And I go, "No, you could see it on his face. It had just worn him down. He had been on this fast track, on this treadmill, and you just knew he wasn't going to be in the game for a long time. He was like a Bill Walsh in a way. Jimmy was more, had more energy than Bill, but Bill had the same drive as Jimmy did. And just being in a practice, I tell people this all the time. The hardest games I ever played in were the games I played at the University of Miami Monday through Friday in the practices, because I was going against some of the greatest football players that have ever lived. And we were doing it on a day-to-day basis. I had Dave Campo on my show yesterday, and we were talking about those inside drills and those practices. We would see Joe Paterno. We would see Barry Switzer. We would see all these guys like Lou Holtz watching us practice. And this was in the spring. And they said this, you know what the coaches used to say to those guys? How do you get these guys to practice like this on a daily basis? We can't get our guys to do that. We had so many gifted guys that Jimmy had brought in. Look at our coaching staff, too. I was talking to Campo yesterday, Donno, about this. You know what my GAs were? My GAs were they were Chuck Pagano and they were Tommy Tuberville. I mean, these were guys checking beds. I mean, one's a United States Center. He's a 3-time SEC Coach of the Year and Coach Tuberville. And Chuck Pagano has had great success in the NFL, and he was an assistant for Jimmy for a bit. I mean, we had such a deep staff. Our team was so deep. It was truly the Camelot of college sports. And people always say, what do you think of the Alabama dynasty? I think it's phenomenal what he does. I think it really is. But how many of those players translate into the NFL where you went, man, outside of Julio Jones or maybe Derrick Henry, you go like this. Those guys were Hall of Fame, trend-setting type, game-changing dudes, that we had at our program at one time. I mean, it was just really outside of my daughter and with my family, it's the greatest time of my life being around that, because everywhere we went, man, it was Rome.
Yeah, man. Well said. And
it was just Rome, dude. I mean, Alex, it was, Donno, I tell you, I never, and people ask me, and I've calmed down a little bit, believe it or not, since
Really?
we were on in QAM, because you know why? I've got to understand something here, man. I don't think we're going to ever get to that type of dominance ever again because of numerous factors. I just don't think we're going to be. We've had one 10-win season in 17 or 18 years. I mean, we're talking about the past too much. And we're not talking about the present. I mean, college football's changing in front of us, and it's changing right underneath Miami's feet right now. And I don't know if Miami's ever going to be in a position where they're going to be consistently. Can they get to a couple of years and play for it? Maybe. But we could be like LSU, but to be like Alabama again, I don't know.
Now, speaking of you calming down, it's funny. I was talking with Manny Chang, who's one of our producers here, who you might remember from the QAM days. And he reminded me that
one of the very few dudes I liked in that building.
Now, he reminded me that he was producing. Oh, there he is. And he looks the same, by the way.
One of the very few dudes I liked in that building. Everyone else could, that guy Joe Bell still texts me, "How you doing?" And I'm going like, "Yeah, okay, guy. You know what? There's not I was at iHeartRadio for like 15 years, and I love 90% of the people. I was at QAM for like 11 months, and I hated 90% of the people I worked with."
Now, and Manny reminded me of an amazing memory, and this is something like you probably still get sent this on YouTube. You remember the rant that you had? You were doing Canes post game, and when Miami got embarrassed by Kansas State, you went on this rant where, I mean, I guess the only direction you could go in from there was calming down. If you say you've calmed down now, and Manny reminded me he was in studio producing that rant, and he's probably thinking like, "Oh my God, what is going on here?"
No, man. And by the way, you could plug that rant into any year since for the Canes, because to me, I mean, that rant, as a matter of fact, I remember I did the rant, and then I did a post game show on Saturday, and I remember quitting on the air, and they could say what the hell they want. I remember going like this. I remember just saying, "Hey, I'd rather be washing my car than talking to you right now." I said, this was me, and like nobody could believe what I was doing. I just said, I just don't want to do this anymore. I can't bash the program like this so much. And
oh my God,
I just kept going on, and I just went. And finally, I get off the air. Joe Bell goes, "So you're quitting?" I go, "Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore because, quite frankly, this program sucks under Al Golden." And all of a sudden, I'll never forget, Joe Rose came to me and he goes, "How come you're not supporting the program?" He did this in the hallway. And I go, "I am supporting the program, dude. That guy sucks. I don't care you blow him. That guy sucks. I don't care he comes on your show, Joe. Well, he's a good guy." I go, "That guy is not a good coach." Okay. And so, of course, firing because he sucks, like I said he would. But here's the good one, O'Donnell. So my wife comes to me and she goes, "Well, you were right about the whole thing with Al Golden. Congratulations." And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Hey, do you have a job?" I went like this. No. And she goes, "Oh, wow, must be great to be right."
That is a trip. Oh my God, that is too good. I got something else I wanted you to get in on, because I know you talk a lot about this on your shows, and I'll give you the chance to promote before we finish it up. But Deshaun Watson, there was some noise earlier this week that he could end up in Philadelphia. I do believe they would be the front runner. I'm also seeing that, the Houston Texans are still asking for quote unquote too much, given his legal troubles. So Dan, how do you think this ends? Do you see Watson landing in Philly?
Are you guys like down in Miami not watching the tea leaves too? Because I actually think the Dolphins are the front runners, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this. Yeah, I do, because the Dolphins have the more assets than any team out there. That trade up, this whole thing started with Chris Greer and that whole Tunsil trade, and then they ended up trading out of that 3 pick for the Niners. Look at the assets that the Dolphins have that they can move, and you can even move Tua. So this is where I'm going here with what I'm understanding with Deshaun Watson. I know Nick Caserio pretty well, the general manager of the Texans. So, as you know, I get all these big guys on my show. I do a national football show for Jacob Media during the day from 4 to 6 Eastern. Then I do my national radio show for USA Radio at night. And during the football show, we get all the general managers. We've had Bruce Arians on. We've had everybody on. And I just in a call to him the other day, I said, "Nick, I'd like to get you on the program." He goes, "Yeah, I can't really do it right now because of the whole Deshaun Watson." I go, have you guys opened up dialogue with anybody? We've had like Telesco and Kevin Colbert. I know the right questions to ask without getting these guys in trouble.
Right.
I said, "Are you taking calls?" And he goes, "We're taking some phone calls." I go, "Well, let me ask you this: are you taking calls from East Coast teams?" And he goes, "Yeah." And that's where you leave it. You don't press him because then he can always say, "I never said that we had a conversation about Philadelphia." Then he starts deducting it. Do they want to trade him out of conference? Yes. They don't want to trade him to the Patriots. They don't want to trade him to the Dolphins. They may be forced to because of assets. I asked Jimmy Johnson this question prior to all these allegations. And I go, "Coach, would you take 4 number ones for Deshaun Watson?" He goes, "No." And I said, "Wow." I go, "You think that highly?" He goes, "That kid's a top 5 player at that position. You search your whole life to get that guy. You don't trade guys like that away." So now what you're getting is you're getting a guy with a couple dents in the fender. So the asking price has come down to where Philly fits in the room. Devontae Smith, a receiver that I'm not even sure you got the dude in the room. And by the way, Jalen Hurts wasn't drafted to take the place of Carson Wentz. He was drafted as a seatbelt in case Carson Wentz continually gets injured. He's a safety belt. This guy's not going to be the face of the Eagles. I don't care what Eagle guy thinks. And Devontae Smith, if you don't have a good thrower, remember that guy Mike Wallace we had down in Miami for a little bit? They got him from the Steelers.
The guy who was stealing money down here,
Yeah, he sucked out loud. Jesse James, when he was robbing a bank, he at least used a gun. This guy was like, once they got this guy in the room and they had all them horrible quarterbacks and they had that horrific general manager and Jeff Ireland, they couldn't get him the football. It was a $17 million bomb. I don't care what you have. The kid looks like he's a nice kid. Great. Who cares? All I'm saying is that Philly's got to be in that conversation. But now they're moved into the negotiations. 2 number ones and Devontae. I don't personally think that's enough. This is what I would – Carolina, could they move off of Sam Darnold in a minute? Could the Dolphins move off of Tua? Dude, they're not even sure they're moving on Tua. They're looking at Tua and they keep – anytime a team starts this, Donno, well, he's got great leadership and he's picked up the offense. That's when I know he sucks.
Oh, no.
Because bottom line, you want to hear this. This guy really is just wow factoring everybody. I mean, he is wow factoring like Burrow or like we saw with Herbert. The only thing I'll say about that last year, it's easy to compile stats when you're throwing from behind. So Tua had to play within a system. So to me, the Dolphins, man, I don't think Denver has enough assets.
No, I don't either.
I do think the Dolphins, if they look at game 6 or 7 and they go, I don't know here, man. Boy, that Deshaun Watson. Can you live with the collateral damage of having the sexual cases that are pending? Remember something here, too. There's civil actions right now. There's not any that are criminal. Which means this, they're going
but I still wonder about that, though, because people have pointed out to me that sometimes the criminal fact finding takes a long time. So I wouldn't completely rule it out. Like I'm worried about the cloud over his head, man.
How about this, though, man? So if you had a guy in your community that was potentially raping 22 women, do you think the police would want that guy off the street as a serial rapist? I mean, if the Houston police thought that this guy was really that, and anyone in their right mind said that this guy was sexually assaulting 22 people. If we're not watching what's going on up with Andrew Cuomo right now and how bad that case is going for him, 22 cases, and the Houston police and the district attorney, Alex, aren't doing – and the NFL hasn't put him on the exempt list, and you're not hearing Tony Busby, the lawyer for all these women. Again, I'm not making – I'm just reading the story here. To me, it looks like confidentiality agreements are being struck. They're trying to get rid of as many of these cases, maybe a couple of them next spring. If I think the NFL's giving some of these people direction, he may get suspended for 4 games. We don't know yet, but they're trying to work this stuff behind the scenes. Because where's the NFL and the NFLPA in this? I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I want to get you on again at some point, Dan. We're out of time, so I got to wrap it up. And I want to give you a chance, dude. I see you all over the place, man. Promote what you're doing. Promote your shows.
Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, you can go to @Dan Show, my Twitter page. That's the only thing that stupid ass Andy King did that was right, was make sure that I changed that change that Twitter handle. Yeah, 4 to 6 Eastern time, the National Football Show. Manny, I love you, man. That's great. Okay. And at night from 9 to midnight, we do a national radio show too with USA Radio Network.
Well, be good, Dan. Have a great weekend, sir.
You bet, Paisan. Talk to you soon. Love you, Manny. Love you guys.
How about that?